Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Iron Palace Podcast. This is just the top 3, so if you want to hear the entire episode, check out our full-length video or just the audio and listen to the full top 10. To land in the official top 3 of the Iron Palace. Holland, number 3.
Number 3, Hafthor Bjornsson.
Not surprising. I knew.
That's not a bad choice.
I got no argument.
I mean, heaviest deadlift. Well, every one of his lifts is, other than the world record deadlift, every other one of his lifts are within spitting distance of world records. I mean, the guy.
Keg toss?
Well, yeah, keg toss world
Just
record.
got that one back. 56 pounds for height.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's, it's hard to argue against him as a strength athlete, you know?
I've got no argument. Yeah. I agree entirely.
He's easily a top 3. I agree.
Yep.
I got to come up with a new number 2.
Would you like to hear my number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Lasha Talikadze.
Oh, man, they just missed my list.
So now, typically, I don't understand a lot of weightlifting because I don't know what's heavy. However, I do know that a 223 kilogram lift and snatch and a 265 kilogram clean and jerk is stupid heavy. Anybody that can take 265 kilos from the floor,
lifts.
From the floor to the chest and then press overhead.
He didn't press it. He jerked it.
Either way,
it's a different lift. 2
265 kilograms overhead in any way, shape, or form.
You tell me he put 585 pounds over his head.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are certified. These are Olympic records.
Yeah.
And he counts Paul Anderson's lifts.
He counted Nick Best.
That's number 10.
You counted Eddie Hall.
That's a horrible argument.
At least Hafthor's legit.
Yeah.
Either way.
Thank God you put Hafthor over Eddie Hall. That would be a real shame. Make him.
Oh well, there's no. There's no argument that Hafthor is stronger than.
If you're one of Eddie's boys,
yeah.
It's he's got his fan club.
Yeah.
I like watching his videos sometimes when he's not goofy.
Yeah, I like watching him haze Brian Shaw.
Yeah, whenever he hit him in the head with a medicine ball, probably my favorite thing I've ever seen.
Did you see where you met him at the airport and it was like he was holding up a sign like tiny penis or something for Brian?
Yep.
Eddie's a good salesman. He sells himself well.
All right, Dave.
And Brian takes it well too.
We're still on 3.
He takes it.
I left 3
well.
blank out of respect.
Oh, okay. All right, Clint.
For Dale. So.
Number 3.
Number 3 holds the world record for most international strongman competition wins from 84. 4 times world's strongest man. And this is what got him over Brian Shaw. 8 times Arnold's strongest man at the heaviest competition on the planet. 6 of those were in a row. 2-time IFSA champion. 3-time Masters World's Strongest Man. More records you could count. In 2009, Fortissimus, Big Z, Zadrunas. He's got to be there.
Yeah, I'm surprised you put him at 3.
The top 2 he can't touch, and I'll explain why.
I've got no debate with this. I feel like our top 3 is going to be rough to debate because I think
Big Z's a
you just
solid
wait.
lifter.
Number 1's going. I got a comment for that.
All right, not David. Holland, number 2.
I got Stoltman.
That's number 2?
Yeah.
Ooh, already?
Really?
That's bold.
And it's
Please don't say Luke.
no, it's Tom. Yeah, no, it's Tom. And
It's actually their other brother, Dave Stoltman.
yeah, Dave Stoltman.
That's
Reginald.
bold.
Yeah, it's
The Stone?
it's the Stone world record.
Really?
I think that is. I think that is the single best measurement for overall strength.
I think it elevates him from from bottom half of the top 10 all the way. Yeah, that's
And
legit.
And that's the record.
And
Again-
he said his goal is to be 5-time world's strongest man, but he's got to have an Arnold to be really the best of all time.
Yeah.
Got to have an Arnold.
Because the Arnold is the heavier of the, or
It's brutal.
usually the
There is
heavier
no-
of the competitions.
My only argument for him not winning an Arnold is, if this is true, if he's solely focused on World's Strongest Man and doesn't pay attention to the events for Arnold. If you only train events for World's Strongest Man and you just completely disregard for the Arnold, I can see it.
He's strong enough to win the Arnold. He just never put them all together. I mean,
Yeah.
his overhead press is 460 or something.
Oh yeah.
And his deadlift is, when he's on point, it's getting close to 1,000. And at Hummer Tire, he's got to be right at 1,000.
He's got to figure out how to get.
He's got to put it all together.
He's got to get over Mitch Hooper.
He's already done that. He beat him at World's Strongest Man this year. He
Beat him
found
once.
Dude, Stoltman won 3 of the events in the final.
Oh,
I mean, Stoltman is a stud.
that's what I'm saying. He's just got to, like you said, he's got to put it together to get over Mitch Hooper, because Mitch Hooper is never going to slip. Mitch Hooper is going to have these solid numbers every time. Yep. So Tom's got to be able to put it together.
I don't count the Rogue as the Rogue is not there with that, and neither is the. The problem is Hooper's got 4 big wins. I would count World's Strongest Man, the Strongest Man on Earth, because that was just brutal.
Oh yeah,
2 Arnolds. So
yeah,
I mean, technically you could, if he. Only thing Stoltman's got is the stone over him right now.
We'll have to go to field day ribbons.
I think Stoltman can absolutely beat Mitch Hooper. He's definitely stronger.
Stoltman could be.
It's just, it's really going to come down to, if you're going to judge by titles over strength, it's going to be rough, because you're going to have to pick who's playing the rules better and who's actually stronger.
He's the one of only 2 people who should have been winners of the World's Strongest Man from England.
Mitch Hooper reminds me of Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was so technical, and he knew the rules. Well, he memorized the referees' training books, so he would know where every ref would be on the court in any situation.
He mentioned that in a video about in
case he needed to get away with a foul.
Yeah, he mentioned that about the referees at the Strongest Man on Earth, didn't he?
And so and Mitch has it figured out. You know,
that's what I mean by, it's hard. For me, it's hard to decide who's the strongest on earth based off wins.
6'8", 430. My God.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to decide who wins based off titles because of that.
That's my dimensions on Grinder.
There's 3 men that could qualify in that kind of category. There's only 3 men that I know of that's ever. No, there's 4 men have won. They're good enough to say that they're 6'8" or bigger and 430. Ted Vandepar, 1992 World's Strongest Man. Tom Stoltman, Brian Shaw.
You're only 6'6".
Brian Shaw and Hafthor Bjornsson.
On Grinder, he's.
I mean, you put those guys together. I mean, that's monster.
Right. And that's my thing. Is Mitch is very strong and has the strength to back up knowing the rules and playing the game.
Yeah.
It's not taken away from how strong Mitch Hooper is. It's just he plays the game very well.
He's excellent at it.
But then Tom Stoltman, that I'm confident is stronger than Mitch Hooper.
Sometimes.
I think they should wrestle.
Russian
go back to Hulk.
In Jello?
We're going back to.
I'm not going to. No, they don't have to do that.
Just lose.
They should do moss wrestling.
Now that would be interesting. There's no rules to break in that.
Stoltman to kill him.
But that's the point.
Stoltman to crush him. That's pulling a bar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stick.
whatever. Stoltman would probably break it in half.
Yeah. I'd like to see Stoltman and Martins Lisi's do that.
Yes.
Because Lisi's is crazy good.
Yeah. All right. Number 2.
Brian Shaw.
Is number 2?
Yep.
I'm really interested in seeing your number 1.
Brian Shaw. I mean,
Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
I
discussed most of his stuff.
So I think these are going to go quicker because
it's hard to, I mean, he belongs in the top 10.
No matter what.
5. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, no matter what. 5. I think the only list he doesn't make top 3 in is apparently Men's Fitness magazine, whatever we did. Put him at number 10. I don't know what that was about. So my number 2 is Hafthor Bjornsson.
Wow, 3 and a 2 for Hafthor.
I had a tie with Mr. Zone and Kim Jong-il, number 2.
Oh, my God.
I don't have many of his numbers.
Is Kamala going to be number 1? Because that's what it's looking like.
He played a 7,700-yard golf course the first time he ever played golf in his 50s and got 11 hole-in-ones and shot like 38 under. So he was smacking that thing, son.
Spit on that thing, didn't he?
My God.
So yeah, Thor's my number 2.
He put a Dijon on it, son. And he also invented the burrito. Come on.
Yeah,
his official state biography says he invented the burrito, and no media lies to their people.
Right.
So, anyways, Thor's number 2. You've got Brian Shaw at number 2.
I've got Kim
Who's your number
Jong-il.
2?
Number 2, the Russians feared him. He had
Rocky Balboa.
2 decades, for 2 decades, longer than any other person in history. He was feared and known across the world as the world's strongest man.
Ronald Reagan.
He was one of 2 people that transformed strength in America. Clean and press, 485. Snatch, 375. Clean and jerk, 485. Bench press raw, 628. 1,200-pound squat.
Chris Kyle.
Ed Cohen.
Bill Kazmaier said he is the king of strength, but his greatest thing is his faith in Jesus Christ. And he is a one-arm side press. Now, this is crazy. Of 380 pounds. Push press of 560 and has one of the heaviest lift ever recorded by a human being. A back lift of 6,270 pounds. And here's some something to Holland went with that other guy from Greg Ernst.
Yeah.
I use the USAWA's back lift records. Al Myers, 2,915. Steve Schmidt, 3,050 in the back lift. Official back lift. Very same style Paul Anderson did. Paul Anderson doubled that. Paul Anderson is...
Allegedly.
No, he did. Paul Anderson was the definition when Bill Kazmaier, the world's strongest man, he said someone had heavy hips. Have you ever looked at Paul Anderson?
I've never felt them.
Yeah.
He had the hips. It's just genetic. Paul Anderson was something nobody else ever was. There's only 2 people that I know of, maybe 3 with Marius. 2 people I know of when they walked into a competition, the Russian team said they were scared to death of Paul Anderson. And he was gentle because they knew how strong and how good he was. He's the last. Think about this, how strong he was in his day. He was the last American, you're quoting Olympic weightlifting, last American to win the super heavyweight gold medal in Olympic weightlifting in 1956 in the Olympics. And here's what he did. And this is what you don't know. This is why I love this guy. That story in 1956 is kind of emotional. Paul Anderson got the flu shortly after arriving in Australia. Mm-hmm. He went to warm up. He couldn't press a few hundred pounds over his head. He struggled the day before warm-ups. And this is the story they tell in this Paul Anderson youth home. He went back in his room. He got on his knees. He said, God, if you'll let me win that gold medal tomorrow, I will serve you the rest of my life. Paul Anderson walked out there the next day and won the gold medal, last American to do it, heavyweight. And he spent the rest of his life, the next 2 years after that, he went to Las Vegas, did a show, and raised money for the Paul and I've talked about this many times at Omega Force. The Paul Anderson Youth Home, where he took all the money he made, went to Vidalia, Georgia, his hometown, and it's the last place for young men before they spend in prison the rest of their life. Last chance for them. And he did that out of the kindness of his heart. I mean, the man's, I don't have any argument with Paul Anderson. You can say what you want about his 1,200-pound squat. The size of his heart puts him as a number 2, period.
I got no argument with that.
I mean, he was, and when Bill Kazmaier says he was the king of all strength, pretty good reference.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional there, but
No.
Paul Anderson's cool.
Oh, Paul Anderson is definitely cool.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked, to go ahead and tell you, we talked about this well before. We were both going to mess with you about this Paul Anderson thing.
He's on my gym in my wall. I've donated to this place before. I mean, that's a pretty cool place. I've never got to go there yet, but I'd love to see Vidalia, Georgia, see the Paul Anderson Youth Home. It'd be a pretty cool trip.
Podcast trip.
Let's go.
All you got to do is call him. Call his wife, Linda. She's still there, lives on the place. I think his daughter runs it now.
All right, Holland.
Oh,
As soon as you're done texting your side hose,
yeah.
it's time to get
Wait a
down
minute.
there.
He was
my number
texting
one.
me. Hold the phone.
My number one
Number
is
one.
Angus McCaskill.
Oh,
Really?
You deny Paul Anderson, but you put on Angus McCaskill.
See, I'm not going to lie.
Jesus.
I wanted to put him on here, but I couldn't
I knew
do it.
somebody was going to do it.
I couldn't do it.
I mean,
I wanted to.
I mean, the man lifted a boat, picked up a horse, threw it over a fence. I mean, come on now.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to argue with you, but
that's just going to be left alone.
I ever since I read that story about Angus McCaskill, that dude's dope.
Yeah.
How big was he?
He was supposed to be like 7 foot tall.
Something like that, yeah.
Think about if he was one of the people in that day, 7 foot tall, with Brian Shaw's.
He's supposed
genetics.
to be 7'9".
And he was like 400-something pounds.
That's skinny for what he was.
Fair. That's actually
Yeah, because Brian's 6'9" and 400 pounds.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'6", 270-ish, 265.
I thought you were going to say I'm 6'6", 400 pounds. I was
The
like,
camera really just it takes off weight.
I was like, don't you know this is going on YouTube?
I built this throne a lot wider than theirs. That's why I don't. That's why there's room in here. All right, my number one, Brian Shaw. Hands down, Brian Shaw.
It's a legitimate argument.
Yeah, I mean,
Angus McCaskill's not bad either, but I mean,
Only reason I didn't put Angus is because I have no definitive proof.
exactly. See, I went so hard on the verification stuff that I thought that Angus would be funny because nothing can be verified on his. It's all hearsay.
Which
Which
to go back to my number two for Thor, I didn't put out like one of the main reasons that I specified Thor was that same massive arm lift. The guy broke
good choice.
Guy broke 1,000-year record
And walked with it.
and walked with it.
An SCL competition in Iceland or in Norway.
How awesome is that?
yeah,
You can see that on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I've watched it many times.
He grabbed those ropes and just
A record that when it was set broke the guy's back that did it.
that had to hurt.
yeah.
And then you've got Thor that just like he did the deadlift.
Didn't they make? Okay, I might be wrong. Did they make him SCL's raw? Did they make lifters compete raw? Did they make him go raw in that?
I don't know.
I don't know if he had a suit on to walk with that or not.
I know it was in the snow, so he's wearing enough stuff that's probably hard to tell.
The visual on it is incredible.
Oh yeah, but yeah, for that lift alone, regardless, I mean, there's plenty of other arguments to if you even take that lift out, but that lift alone, I was like hands down.
If Thor can win a couple, if he can win a couple more Arnolds and maybe throw in a strongest man on earth to go with it, if Shaw decides to do it again,
Yeah.
people show him some respect for what he's done. He's done an incredible thing. Thor could be number one.
Oh, I actually agree. I mean, even Mitch Hooper has said that he sees Thor coming back from his pec tear and kind of starting at strongest man on earth. He said, "I see him coming." And
5 events. 5.
Yeah, he won 5 out of 8 anyways. So
5. And if he didn't have a 6 and a 8 or something, whatever those oddball ones.
yeah, I was like, it's
If
kind of
Terry
like
Holland hadn't screwed him, how close would it have been?
it still would have been because I think Mitch beat Thor by like 12 points, so it still would have been closer, but Mitch still would have won.
yeah, I mean it would have been.
It wasn't like an Eddie Hall swing where that one rep threw him off. He still had quite
No,
a bit.
Thor kept his focus. He did, his credit. He kept his focus this time. You're not
Absolutely.
going to mess with Thor now.
Yeah.
No, that's why I think this Thor is going to be stronger than old Thor.
I wish Colin Bryce would call and suck his pride up and go apologize to the man and write him a big check to show up at World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think Giants Live should do that too because
That is Colin Bryce, Giants Live.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking just
Giants
World's
Live
Strongest.
is
I was
World's
thinking
Strongest
World's Strongest, but at the Giants Live competition, they're trying to break this deadlift world record.
Who's going to do it?
The only man that's capable right now of doing it is not in the show.
No,
Yep, I agree.
Thor's the only one capable.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. And that's why I know like Mitch Hooper is a really big, like he really likes to push that 2018 Thor is the strongest person that's ever walked the earth. I would argue that this Thor that's coming up right now is going to be the strongest person ever walked the earth.
Say
Awesome. He's in his
2025
prime.
Thor is
What is he,
gonna be-
33, 34 now?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 2 or 3 years where he's going to be. You got to remember, if I got my numbers right, Zadrunas is the oldest person to ever win World's Strongest Man at like 35. Nobody else has ever won it.
But look at Zadrunas.
Yeah, Thor's currently 35.
What I'm saying is there is the, I didn't like it when it happened, but it's just the eventual, you're not going to be able to keep, the guys that competing in World's Strongest Man and the Arnold and Strongest Man on Earth are not getting older. They're getting younger.
I agree. But
I mean, Thor's got,
if we're to look at
he's
Big,
got 2 or 3 years to be able to run with that. It's going to probably be hard to keep up with him.
I would agree. But my thing is like, if you look at Big Z's build whenever he was 35 winning World's Strongest Man, compare that to what Thor is looking like right now. Very different. Big Z was almost as wide as he is tall.
Yeah.
I mean, still strong as hell, but
That'd be an interesting thing. Put a tape around both of them, see who had the bigger chest back in the day.
Yeah.
Pervert.
I bet Thor's about the same size.
That made me think
I really
of,
think it's like I think Holland said. I think 2025 Thor is going to be, given he doesn't get injured again, because I think this year he would have absolutely wrecked shop had he not had that pec tear last year.
If he stays away from powerlifting.
Yeah, 'cause that's what did it.
Yeah, he was
Bench press is good for nobody.
Excuse me?
bench press is the world's most popular lift.
It's the world's most popular lift. The deadlift is the world's strongest lift.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'll keep my comment. I was about to say.
Caleb does not like bench press.
No, I'm not good at it, so why would I like
It's
it?
because it's late. It's not a okay. All right, here's the trick.
Look at my arms, dog. Look how long them bad boys
No,
are.
don't give me that stuff. Zadrunas' arms that long too.
What?
How
tall is Zadrunas?
6'3", 6'4", something like that.
I got him by 2 inches.
Happy Home's been broken up over less.
And he's got you by several hundred pounds.
No, yeah.
Big Z. Shaw can bench press well over 600.
He's built different though.
Hashtag.
Really? You just compared yourself to him earlier going,
He's got you there, Caleb.
All right, allegedly. Fair point.
I mean, the reason people don't like to make excuses for the bench press because it's a lift that you're never going to be good at when you're younger. You're going to be better as you get older. Where the squat and the deadlift, you can be good at it really quickly. That's why so many people, when they're doing their online training programs, they push them to do squat twice a week, deadlift twice a week, and bench press. They're never going to catch up with bench press. They're all weaker, almost always weaker bench presses, but they can have these big squats and deadlifts because it's the same lift.
Yeah.
They can gain strength real quick because this is a big, strong part of your body. This takes work.
Yeah, it's all posterior chain, yeah.
All
But
right,
Dave,
Dave.
they don't like to hear that.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, the only people that don't like bench press are the people that aren't good at bench press.
Retweet.
All right, Dave. Number one.
Joe Biden for having the strength to carry this country on his shoulders
Oh, my
for
God.
4 years and pave the way for Kamala to set this stuff straight. Look, we don't even have his recruits in yet, boys. We got to give him a couple more seasons.
Dude.
All right, Dave. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
You've earned yourself the mute button. So.
And another thing, all right? The Green New Deal, we got to push it.
I mean, one thing, he did survive all those falls on those stairs.
Yeah. Guys, this sucker's 0 to 60. 3 seconds.
All right, Clint. Number one.
I got to catch my breath on that one.
Take my breath away.
Okay, this man was robbed just like Joe Biden robbed an election.
Whoa.
Too
This
soon.
man was robbed from 1983 through 1987. He is a former World's Strongest Man announcer. He is also a member of the Omega Force Strength Team. 930-pound squat, raw bench press, 660-pound. Used to hold the all-time world record in the bench press, raw. 886-pound deadlift, 915 Highland Games deadlift. He did a 24 and 25-pound powerlifting total. And now this is cool. In 1980, who wouldn't want to do this? They put up like a Smith machine squat with Playboy bunnies on top and short shorts.
Yeah.
And he squatted 934. He's in the only one of 2 people in the International Sports Hall of Fame, along with Paul Anderson.
And he makes a hell of a green bean casserole.
His seated military press is 448 pounds, 448 pounds for 3 reps, 1,055 silver dollar deadlift.
Did you say seated military press?
Yep.
Okay.
How much weight was that?
448 for 3.
That's so stupid. That is just.
This is where he gets underrated.
Stupid heavy.
And this is to your point. First person in history to lift all 5 McLaughlin stones, which later became the Atlas stones.
All right. Yeah.
He was and is the probably most transformative figure in all of strength as we know it from Iceland to the United States to Australia. William Kazmaier. Kaz.
Yeah.
He is the greatest strongman of all time. There's only 2 people that transformed strength as we know it.
John Cena and Della
First was the man who transformed it for Kazmaier, Paul Anderson. Second was Kazmaier.
That's way off.
If he was not robbed, if Douglas Edmonds didn't hate Americans so bad,
Oh, yeah.
from 1982 to to 2006 or 2004. No, it ended in 2004. And 2006, we had an American. For 24 years, we were robbed and said we were not as strong as other countries when we had the strongest man in the world. Jeff Capes is a paper champion, England. And John Paul Sigmarsson was a paper champion for 2 of his titles. He legitimately won it in 1987. He did not defeat O.D. Wilson in 1990.
I heard he wears ladies' clothes when he's at home by himself.
And you're like the paper that you tear out of a spiral notebook with little things on the side of it.
Is the seven time, count it with me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's more than
World's
2.
strongest man winner. Nobody can touch Bill Kazmaier.
Dang straight.
Not without his consent.
Man, now I'm all fired up. Let's go
If you
lift.
don't like Kazmaier, you don't like lifting.
If you don't like Kazmaier, you don't like Jesus. That's it. End of the show.
Pretty close, right there.
I'm going to unscrew this so I can drop it.
And
And I will tell you this, Kazmaier was the inspiration behind this speech. This was really cool. I don't know if you've ever seen this speech.
This is your army, then where do they go?
In 2001, in I believe it was Zambia, on the Hercules hold, Phil Pfister from By God, West Virginia got up there and said, America will have world's strongest man someday. I will win it for America. I'll keep coming back. America will have world's strongest man one day. I will be there. And he said, amen. And 5 years later, Phil Pfister, who is one of my honorable mentions, won the first American in 24 years to win the world's strongest man. Was he strongest of all time? No. But did he do something nobody else ever dared? He called his own shot.
I want people to start calling me Hercules.
We talked about how Kazmaier was going through this big tear, and then they're like, you can't compete anymore.
It's all because it was a show.
Yeah.
They're like, especially like at that era, the World's Strongest Man was a show.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
They're like, let's let a European win it.
I mean, it was a show more than it was a competition, as a sense of they didn't want him to keep dominating.
2 years after Douglas Edmonds was removed and left to form IFSA, an American wins World's Strongest Man. Since that time, Phil Pfister has won it, Brian Shaw has won it, and Martins Lisis has won the World's Strongest Man because we are no longer discriminated against. They're not being held back. Colin Bryce has opened it up. When Douglas Edmonds held back, Douglas Edmonds is a great promoter. God bless his soul. And he's a man that came up with, he wasn't. Daniel Webster came up with the song In Your Own Time. And Douglas Edmonds used to say that when he's a head referee at World's Strongest Man, in your own time, lift. But Douglas Edmonds did not like Americans blatantly. And all the guys that competed back then, you could hear them, they'd talk about it, that they blatantly discriminated against Americans. Why do you think Grizzly Brown was there? What? Really? Grizzly Brown couldn't compete. He wasn't strong enough to win that. They knew that. They didn't, and they screwed up in 1990 when they put O.D. Wilson up there against John Paul Sigmarsson. O.D. Wilson kicked his butt. And they put a track race as the last lift. O.D. Wilson had to finish dead last. John Paul had to finish first. Well, Lord God, O.D. Wilson weighed almost 400 pounds. How's he going to run with a bunch of bricks on his back?
Yeah,
and they rigged it because they didn't want an American win it. O.D. Wilson is an uncrowned 1990 World's Strongest Man.
Dang straight.
And Bill Kazmaier, 7-time World's Strongest Man. Well,